intense, thrilling, electrifying sport on the planet. Mixed martial arts. You've been looking for the definitive podcast to call your new home to hear everything about it. The search is over. This is the MMAnomaly Show. No filter. Bringing you the hottest MMA breakdowns straight from the heart of the octagon. This show is all about MMA breakdowns. For fans, by fans. We're talking UFC, MMA, and the occasional big boxing match. We'll bring our unique take on how these fights are going to play out and who we think are the best bets. Welcome to the MMAnomaly Show. No filter. And now your hosts, Olin, a.k.a. MMAnomaly, and Emiliano, a.k.a. Jive Turkey Nano.
What is up, fight fans? Welcome back to another episode of the MMAnomaly Show, No Filter. I'm your host, Olin, a.k.a. MMAnomaly, and with me, as always, is the co-host with the most, Jive Turkey Nano. How we doing, brother?
Let's go. Doing great, brother. Feeling good. It was an awesome week, man. Flew by. We were just talking about this daylight savings. Is throwing us off a little bit. Throwing me off a little bit here in Arizona. Not too much. But boy, am I excited for UFC Fight Night 88, a.k.a. Double Ocho. Boy, we got some good ones here. We got my boy on the main card. The one, the only. Bam, bam. Tai Tuivasa. How to rock the shirt, baby. How to rock the beer hat, because there will be some shoeies, which means there will be some beer on drinking on Saturday. Let's go.
Let's go, baby. You already know what's happening. If it's a Tuivasa fight week, it's probably a Shuivasa fight week, right? So we will probably be doing a little bit of a shoey. Maybe not in this episode, but you can bet your ass on that Monday episode or whenever Nano gets back. I think he might be out of town next week. Either way, shoeys will be done. You will see them on this show. So we definitely have a hell of a fight card to talk about. And folks, it is a free one. It is hard to complain about a free fight card, even when it's another one at the Apex. As Nano teed it up perfectly here, it is UFC Fight Night, or UFC Vegas 88. And there are definitely a handful of names on here that I am more than excited to watch fight here. We got Thiago Moises. We got Corey the Hobbit McKenna coming in against fellow up-and-comer Jacqueline Amarim. We also have Joshua Culibao coming in against Danny Silva. Solid fight. Ode Osborne, who we had the pleasure of seeing at International Fight Week last year, coming in against Jafel Fialho. I mean, the list of names goes on and on. We're not going to dwell on every single one of these fights a ton, but we will briefly talk about each and every one of these fights, I believe. So let's go ahead and just start at the bottom. We have Chad Anhelager coming in against Charalampos Gregorio. Now, I mean, could we have picked harder names to try and pronounce to start off the fight card, folks?
Like, you nailed it, though, brother. You nailed it.
I appreciate it, brother. Truly. They're not making it easy for us. I'll tell you that. Definitely not making it easy for us. Not
at all. I'd say you might need a round of applause for you there, brother. That was a great start to the card here. We're giving them their due diligence.
Appreciate you. So yeah, let's go ahead and jump into this one. Do you have a dog in this race? Do you have a favorite in this fight?
It's a close one. And if you look at the odds, they would certainly suggest the same thing. You're looking at a minus 170 versus a plus 140. That one minus 170, the favorite being in Charalampos Gregorio over Chad Anhelinger. But again, man, I think the narrative here is the young buck might have a little bit more steam, a little bit more gas in the tank. Both are very well-rounded fighters. We got starting with our boy CG. I'm going to say it for short there. Charalampos has a win on the Contender Series, and he is coming off of that into a 4-fight win streak, which is always nice. Fighting out of the Longo and Weidman MMA, based out of New York with the boys there. Quick shout out Longo and Weidman and the boys and that crew. Iron sharpens iron. He's out there rolling with the best of them. And he had quite a nasty TKO finish, catching his opponent with the left hook as he blitzed in. That shows high IQ. That shows he's ready for the big show. So I'm excited to see what he comes out here and does with his 3-inch reach advantage. And again, his only loss so far, the only bump in his UFC road thus far was against a C-Rod, Christian Rodriguez, back in 2021. So I think it's safe to say that has aged well. C-Rod's still a dog. We'll be talking about him later on. But no easy outing with our boy Chad. And that's not just your average average run-of-the-mill white guy. I'm saying Chad, the Canadian monster, and Hellinger. Remember the name, y'all. This guy's heavy hands. He's been around the block here for a while. 37 years old, 12-7, 7 KOs, 3 subs. This man likes to finish him off. Pause. But he does have 6 losses on his record, and 7 losses, and 6 of them are to submissions. So that was one key factor here, as maybe why the bet makers are looking at it with a well-rounded opponent in front of him, someone that does have a good ground game as well. That can be the chink in the armor. But until it gets on the ground, we're going to be seeing a firefight, and that's exactly what Chad does. He fights under fire, under duress, sits in the pocket, loves when it gets into a brawl. So I think that's what we're going to see here first night of the fight. And I'm curious to see what the MMAnomaly has to say about this first card after you pronounce the names oh so elegantly. But to answer your question, I am going to go with the betting favorite here in Charalampos Gregorio. I think he has more ways, more paths to a victory. But curious to hear your thoughts, man. Break it down for us.
Man, I'm going to be honest. Maybe I should have taken the lead on that one because it's going to be hard to follow any of that. This guy deserves a round of applause if we're being honest here, folks. Yeah, let's let him see it, brother. Nano summed it up perfectly, guys. It's going to be a dogfight. It's going to literally be 2 dogs out there just going at it, fighting over the last scrap of meat here. As he pointed out here, the elephant in the room is Chad Enhelleger. He does have 7 losses on his record. And it's a glaring thing, right? But he is a monster, as the name would suggest. He is definitely an absolute beast. When he goes out there to finish fights. He has 7 wins by way of TKO/KO, 3 wins by way of submission, and 2 wins by way of decision. If you learned anything from that little breakdown of numbers there, it's that this guy prefers to not leave it in the hands of the judges and to get the damn job done, folks. So I like the monster a lot here, but this is a tough outing for the kid. He is coming in against the ferocious Charalampos Gregorio. This guy is just an absolute stud. He does have a 3.5-inch reach advantage and a 1-inch height advantage. So the legs are longer, the arms are longer. And for that reason, you got 2 dogs. If we're talking about two cuts of the same cloth men here, 2 dogs, right? And we are. If one of them has advantages, you got to pull for that guy. You got to root for that guy. There's a reason he's the Vegas favorite. Not only does he have a 3.5-inch reach advantage, but I think the way that he fights, the way that he uses his reach is something to behold. He looks like a fighter that fights long, if that makes sense. Not quite to the degree of a featherweight Conor McGregor, but I digress. He still uses his reach quite well in there. And I truly think that because of the reach advantage, he's going to have his opponent missing whenever he swings, looking around like, where are you? And I'm so sorry. I'm going to go for the ferocious one here. I think the ferocious Charalampos Gregorio comes out and gets it done over the monster, Chad Enhelleger. It will definitely not be the end of the career for a 12-7 Chad Enhelleger. It'll just be another one on the record for him, and it'll be great experience in the UFC bantamweight division. I do think both men will be coming out here looking for a finish. So maybe take the under on this one. I know flyweight unders are a thing. Maybe we make bantamweight unders a thing this year.
I like it. Keep an eye. Might be a new trend here. I like it, man. Good breakdown. And yeah, like you said, probably won't be the end of the road for Chad. He's a dog. I'm expecting to see some fireworks this first fight for sure. Let's go.
Now, in this next one, we have Thiago Moises coming in against Mitch Ramirez in the UFC lightweight division. Both coming in at just about the same height. One standing 5'8" tall, the other 5'9". So a 1-inch height advantage for Mitch Ramirez. And the reach is even less significant, right? We have a 70.5-inch reach versus a 71-inch reach. So a 1/2-inch reach advantage for Mitch Ramirez here. Again, this one is going to be a very, very close cut matchup, in my opinion. I don't think either guy has, a glaring, huge advantage here. But that being said, there are definitely a couple of ways that either guy can get this done, right? Taking a closer look at the records here, Mitch Ramirez, the Fight Stalker. I love that nickname, right? The Fight Stalker, fighting out of Syndicate MMA. Great gym, has 5 wins by TKO/KO, 2 wins by submission, and 1 win by decision. His only loss came by way of knockout, and that was just 2 fights ago against Carlos Freitas in the Contender Series. He actually lost from a straight left in the second round, just 1 minute and 14 seconds in. Came back in LFA in his very next fight and won in just 2 minutes and 19 seconds via a handful of hooks for his opponents. Good luck there. And I mean, the guy's got hands, and he's also got crazy strong kicks. He's got a win by leg kicks, so he has a stoppage via leg kicks in the 3rd round of a fight. That says a lot. I mean, the Fight Stalker. I really do like this guy. I like his nickname a lot. But again, no easy night out for him. He is going against an absolute stud in Thiago Moises. Thiago Moises, of course, fighting out of ATT, otherwise known as American Top Team. You might have heard of them. They're out there in Florida just doing great things. That's where my guy Dustin Poirier trains. Now, this guy has 3 wins by way of TKO/KO, 8 wins by way of submission, and 6 wins by way of decision. He is coming off of a loss. Speaking of Dustin Poirier, he's coming off of a loss to Benny St. Denis. You know what I'm talking about. Benoit St. Denis. He lost via ground and pound in the 2nd round, 4 minutes and 44 seconds in. Before that, he got the win via rear naked choke over Melquizel Costa. I believe Costa actually stepped in and took that fight on very short notice. That's how he made his UFC debut. Good on him for stepping up and just standing against him for as long as he did. This guy's also been in there with people like Bobby Green, Alexander Hernandez, Michael Johnson, Kurt the Hurt Halabak, who he beat, and Islam Makhachev. I mean, so he's seen a who's who. He was originally supposed to fight Brad Riddell, but then ended up getting matched up against Mitch Ramirez. So if I'm being honest, we've seen Thiago Moises lose via knockout twice. We've also seen him lose 4 decisions and 1 submission. Who am I taking in this one? Gun to my head, I'm not going to lie to you. I kind of like the Fight Stalker in this one. I think Mitch Ramirez fights very, very strong. And even though he is, you know, the fresher guy, he does have a very slight reach advantage, and he likes to throw hard. Let's go to the chat here before I pass it off to you. Welcome back to the channel here. New to this world. We appreciate you coming. He said, my boy CG is a cannon from Cyprus. He's our new Greek sensation after Kostas Philippou retired. Oh, dude, I love that. I absolutely love it.
Hell yeah.
Obviously talking about Shalampos Gregorio. I mean, with a name like that, he sounds like he could be a Greek god, my friend. Moving into the next comment here from New to This World. He said, I love Thiago, but dang, that kid is the most frustrating fighter in the lightweight division. He looks like a world champ for 2 to 3 fights, but then looks normal for another 2 to 3 fights. I agree, New to This World. And I'm going to be honest with you, my friend. I think this is going to be just another fight where he does look slightly normal. Going to pass it off to the co-host with the most here, Nano. Who do you have in this fight, and tell us why?
Appreciate it, brother. Yep. Good to see you, New to This World. It sounds like you're familiar with Thiago Moises. Not new to the UFC either, man. This guy's an OG back in the Dana White Contender Series back in 2018. Damn straight. Yeah, and Thiago Moises only 28 years young. It's crazy to say that out loud after you mention all the different names he squared off against, after seeing him have some of the highs and then some of those lows. I do want to maybe make a point in regards to him looking quote unquote normal. I think the reality is there's levels to this game, right? And when we're talking about excuse me, the likes of an Islam Makhachev, a Benel Dariush, literally our perennial top 5 guys in this generation. So on top of that, you're mentioning Kurt Holloway, Michael Johnson, who's an OG, who's a legend, still going after it. Bobby Green, I mean, one of the baddest motherfuckers out there. You know, these are a group of bandits. These are the thieves, man. These are the who's. And unfortunately, Thiago Moises has not always been on the great side, right? On the right side of it. And it's maybe boiling down to him being good, not great. Again, we're talking about the best in the world here, so it's a thin margin of error. But for Thiago Moises, I think if he can stay focused, put it all together, there is a reason why he's the Ben favorite. So I am going to lean Thiago Moises here. However, my brother, I did want to mention, man, I don't know if the bet makers or the odd setters. I didn't know which format to say there, but man, so when I put these notes in, maybe like a couple hours ago, preparing before the gym, Thiago Moises was a minus 425 favorite. As of now, it is minus 385. So I think the money's coming in late on Mitch Ramirez. He is now plus 290. You could have gone at plus 325 probably before this. Sorry about it. Get those bets in sooner than later. It's a good lesson learned. But the one thing about waiting too is you do see what that late minute money comes in at. Some of the lines will change. So maybe you won't get some of those extremes, but it's going to be about as true as it can get at this point. And yeah, some of that late money's coming in on Mitch. That is a little scary. But with that odd shift, I'm a little hesitant, but I'm still going to lean the guy that shared the octagon with the who's, who has been able to hold his own, even though he has not been able to come out victorious. I do think that without, frankly, seeing much of Mitch Ramirez myself, yes, he does have a great record in 8-1. He does have 7 finishes out of those 8 fights. So solid, well-rounded game, good wrestler. And I do want to mention in regards to fight camps, we do know Thiago Moises is fighting out of American Top Team, but our boy Mitch, the Fight Stalker, is coming out of Utah here and fighting with Syndicate MMA. I don't know if we've talked about Syndicate that often, but they got the likes of a D-Rod, Daniel Rodriguez, a Joanne Wood, who just retired there, shout out. Khalil Roundtree, O'Day Osborne, our guy that we only got to meet at International Fight Week. So love to hear it, love to see it. That's a solid camp. That's a solid group right there. So iron sharpens iron. He's going to be focused. He's going to be well prepared. And again, kind of surprising he was such a big dog here, but the lines are starting to maybe correct a little bit here late. With that being said, he did get TKO'd in his Contender Series debut back in 2023, fought in LFA, and then came and boomeranged back around. I just need to see more. That's it. I need to see more, but wouldn't be surprised if I'm here next week, or obviously I have my sales conference work trip next week, but might be having to send you some videos on Saturday doing some shots because I might be wrong. You might be right about it.
I do also want to point out that Thiago Moises has not had a knockout himself since the Contender Series when he got his win to get into the UFC. And that was over a man named Gladson Cudis, who is 7-5. So, I mean, I'm not hopeful that he's able to get a knockout over a Mitch Ramirez. And that's why I'm doing one of these on the fly bets during the show here. I am going to throw down a quick parlay bet. I'm going to do Mitch Ramirez and Charlampos Gregorio. To throw 1 unit on that, and that 1 unit will win 6.32 units. So yeah, I think that's a solid play. We're at this point playing with house money, guys. Don't know if we really celebrated enough, but we are playing with house money. A lot of our bets ended up actually cashing last week. We will post those again on the Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it. I don't think anybody actually calls it X, do they?
I don't know. Maybe that's us showing our age, but no, I think most of my friend circles we refer to as Twitter. But
okay, I was like, does anybody actually call it X? So yeah, we will be reposting those for you guys up on the Twitter, the X, whatever you want to call it. And yeah, we'll make sure that you guys see the bets that ended up cashing for us last week. So again, the first bet of the night for me is going to be Mitch Ramirez and Charlampos Gregorio, which is again probably one of the funnest names to say in the UFC currently, is Gregorio. 1 unit to win a little over 6. So fun little parlay, and the odds on that are plus 532 for anybody that is wondering. So yeah, fun little parlay there. Moving into the next fight. This is one that I'm actually possibly more excited about than I should be. I don't know. We got Jacqueline Amorim coming in against Corey the Hobbit McKenna. I know her new nickname is Poppins. I'm just always going to call her the Hobbit. So deal with that. I am extremely excited about this fight, but I'm going to let Nato take the lead because I don't want to steal all the thunder here. Tell us who you like in this fight and how you see it playing out.
This is a fun one, brother. This is a fun one. I just want to make sure we're on the same one because I had a different order on UFC versus my notes here, but you said Jacqueline Amorim, right? Versus Corey McKenna. This is a fun one, brother. This is a fun one.
Did they change the bout order?
It's different on different sites. It's different on UFC versus SureDog versus ESPN. So I'm not sure, but don't worry about it. We're good, baby. So I'll make sure my God, make sure we're on the right fight to write notes. But like, yeah, bro. So I'm like scrolling. I'm like, hold on, wait, why am I off? I scrolled up from Thiago. I'm like, okay, no, they're off. We're good. We'll keep it rolling. Right, we're so great. No, I'm excited. This is a fun one, man. This is a fun one. We actually talked about Jacqueline recently. Very fun fighter, very active, a good follow on Instagram. She is a little bit of the older fighter here, which is interesting to say at 28 years old. A little bit less experience. She is 7-1 against her opponent, but she does have 2 KOs and 5 submissions. That is a 100% finish rate. You know, I love that. And I think she was built to be a fighter. I say that because she's going to have a 9, potentially 10-inch reach advantage. Again, asterisk, it's different on different sites. I cross-reference, I don't know, but that is a lot, y'all. 9-10 inches. I mean, in any scenario, that's big enough. In fact, that might be too big. Come on. all these can sign, and they're the same height. Let me go back. Sorry, get ahead of myself here. But we were talking about American Top Team. Jackie is part of that same camp, so this is going to be huge for the team there. And ever since her coming out of LFA, she's been good, man. 1-1 the UFC, and I do think she has that it factor. Really good boxing, really solid ground game. Just a tough puzzle to figure out. I mean, again, when you have that kind of length as a good fighter with knockout capabilities, and then you're able to go to the ground, use that length like an anaconda. You're slippery down there. That's a scary, scary sight. However, she's got a dog in front of her, brother. Corey McKenna. Ooh, she is legit. Okay, 24 years old, 24 years young. I like to say, 8-2 record. 2 submissions under her belt. She is the slight betting favorite here at -175. But I think it does make sense when I actually really started to break it down a little bit more. I actually do like Jackie personally. I'm leaning the striker here, but it's hard for me to bet against Corey. She is a tough matchup. Fighting out of Wales. When you look at her, ever since her debut from the Dana White Contender Series back in 2020, she's earned her 4-1 record since. She's strong. She's got a great wrestling game. And like we said before, she's down to get the friction out on the ground. And she's able to get a Von Flu, or I think as we should also patent it, the OSP choke. Yeah, man. And on top of all that, brother, I don't know if you had this in your notes, but do you know who she commentated side by side with? One of our boys.
Pin the Bane Davis.
Let's go.
Yes, sir.
She's like a Laura Senko, brother. She knows the game. She's got the IQ.
She's great on the mic.
She's phenomenal on the mic. She's got a great Instagram and social media presence. Like, she's a dog. She's somebody. So I think all that considered
for a nomination for the up and coming commentator of the year award for the MMA Anomaly Awards next year, folks.
Absolutely, brother. If we do a half year awards, definitely in there, but definitely one to watch right now as we round out this quarter. But yeah, brother, I'm excited as all heck. She is a strong wrestler again. I'm going to lean the striker on this matchup. It is close. We're not talking she's not a below landslide favorite here in Corey McKenna, but I do think the reach is going to be an issue. I've seen Jacqueline go up against some tough opponents. And I just like her striking pedigree. And I know if it goes to the ground, she can still be a threat with her submission capabilities as well. What are you thinking, brother?
So I'm going to be honest with you. I actually think that Corey McKenna has the better striking in this fight. Possible unpopular opinion. I just think she's the grittier fighter. I think she has seen a little bit more action in there. She's fought the Cheyenne Velismuses of the world. She's also fought, Vanessa Demopoulos and got a win over her. Vanessa Demopoulos is no joke. That girl's an absolute beast. Jackie on the other end, I really like her. I think that she's definitely a very fun fighter. But I don't think she's going to go out there and get a 10-second knockout like she did over Megan Owen. I just don't see it happening. The ground and pound win she got over Montserrat Conejo Ruiz was very impressive. But again, I think it's going to be a lot harder to do something like that over Corey McKenna. We have seen Corey McKenna face other people that have decent wrestling, and she typically is able to overcome it. But We've also seen her face somebody like Elise Reed and lose a split decision. I could see this going that way. Very, very durable girl, but I do like Jackie in this one because of a lot of the reasons that you said. There is a 9.5-inch reach advantage here, folks. That is damn significant. That is almost 10 inches. That is a very, very big difference. And what's crazy is they are the same height. So she doesn't have to reach down or up. It is a straight 9.5-inch advantage of her just pop, pop. So, I mean, they're going to be coming in so fast and so hard. And it's just going to be hard. It's just going to be extremely difficult for McKenna to work her way in to actually establish a clinch, which is what she's going to need to do if she has any hope of getting a takedown. Where Corey wins this fight will be in top position, will be with ground and pound, and will be with control, likely a decision. But again, I think if Jackie's smart, she keeps this fight at range, and she just peppers up Corey across the distance here.
Like that breakdown, brother. It's going to be a good one. This is a good chess match that we have ahead of us, y'all. I'm excited for it.
Definitely excited for this one. And for the next one, we have a couple of young guns coming out here. We got a 29-year-old Josh Culibao coming in against 27-year-old Danny Silva. Both these guys, again, fairly even when it comes to the height. They're 1-inch difference here. Now, the crazy thing is the man that's 1 inch taller, Danny Silva, standing at 5'9", has a 3-inch reach disadvantage to the man that is 1 inch shorter and Joshua Culibao. Nano, do you have a favorite in this one? Do you have a pick in this one? Any dogs in this race?
I mean, they both are dogs. I think we should start there. They both are absolute junkyard dogs. I am going to lean I was almost going to say the underdog here, but no, I'm going to lean the older dog in Josh Culibao. The guy from Living in a Land Down Under. 29 years old, man. He's 3 inches reach. I've seen him a little bit more. I'm more familiar, more acclimated with him in his game. And it's well-rounded. He's a fun striker. I'd be surprised if this goes to the canvas at all, unless one of them are down for the count. I think there's going to be some really, really fun striking here. But this dude, Danny Silva, man, the more I started to break it down, the more I realized, well, you know what? This guy might be somebody. Find out of SoCal, your neck of the woods, brother. Curious if there's anything that stands out to you in terms of their styles, or, I mean, do you have a dog in this race as well, or what are you thinking, man?
I'm going to be honest with you, man. I don't have a dog in this race. I'm not really betting on this one, so to speak.
I'll stay away from it as well. It's too close.
That's the thing, is it's just such a close fight. It's tough, right? And both these guys are up and comers. There's not a ton of tape on them, so to speak. So, I mean, gun to my head, I'm going Josh Culibao. I think he gets it done. How does he get it done? Probably a grindy decision win. Danny Silva is a pretty tough kid. Seems like he's really hard to put away since he's never been put away in his professional MMA career. He's only lost one time, and that was by way of decision. Even in his amateur career, he only lost one time by finish, and that was a submission in the third and final round. And his only other loss in the amateurs was a unanimous decision loss. So, dude's fought a handful of times. I mean, if you add up his amateur career plus his pro career, he has like well over 15 fights, and a vast majority of those fights are wins, right? So El Puma is coming ready to fight, ready to scrap. But I digress. He seems like he's one of those guys where if he's fighting someone that's willing to exchange with him on the feet, he is going to get the win. Whether it's a knockout, as 5 of his wins have come, or a grindy decision, as 3 of his wins have come. However, when he fights somebody that is able to actually go out there and really just establish takedown dominance, it seems like more often than not, he struggles against grapplers. So, I mean, looking across from him, Josh Culibao is definitely more of a striker, right? He has 5 wins by knockout himself, but he also has a win by submission and 5 decision wins, which is very telling. And not to mention, like, dude fought Lerone Murphy. So I think he has definitely the better experience in the octagon.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, just in general. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so he also fought, just to quickly elaborate on other people that he's squared off within the octagon. He lost to a Jalen Turner in his debut back in 2020. And on top of that, he has a tie against a Charles Air Jourdain. So you wanted to talk about being thrown into the lions right away. this brother has not had an easy night in the office. So there's always context to it.
Drawing the lucky straw, right? Fucking Jalen Turner for your debut fight. That's rough.
Yeah, it's rough.
So, I mean, yeah, that was definitely rough. And he lasted almost 2 full rounds against Jalen Turner in his debut. And then, as Nano said, his very next fight was Charles Air Jourdain. So, yeah, I mean, he's also got a win over Seung-woo Choi as well as Melsik Bekzadarian. I mean, the dude is a beast. I think Josh Kulibau probably gets it done here. Could just be me being biased because there's a bit more tape on him for me to watch.
That's the thing. Yeah, we've seen him. He is going to have the 3-inch reach advantage. He does have a good way to blend his leg strikes and keep his boxing going, to keep his opponents at bay. But like you said, man, Danny Silva, he hasn't really clean boxing. We haven't seen much of him, but on his Dana White Contender Series debut, he did showcase some really good boxing skills, really high level striking. That's why I think it's going to be really fun to watch, man. I'm probably going to stay away from it in terms of a betting perspective, but if you're in the chat, if you're listening to this at any point before Saturday, let us know what you think as well. Maybe we'll throw in some late night Hail Marys, but this is going to be a fun one.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Speaking of fun ones, this next one is one that I'm definitely more excited about. Jafel Fialho coming in against Ode Osborne. Man, this is a fun one. I feel like there's a common saying where, like, if you've met a fighter or an athlete, you always root for that fighter or athlete. Well, you see Ode Osborne at International Fight Week, you're always going to root for that guy. So I'm going for the Jamaican sensation here. Bias definitely involved. But let me go ahead and speak on the non-biased part here, right? Let me speak on the fact that there's about a 5-inch reach advantage, right? I mean, it's actually 5.5-inch reach advantage, which is pretty damn significant, especially when we're talking about people that are fighting in the flyweight division. These guys are tiny, right? They're fighting at 125 pounds. And yet here they are with a 5.5-inch reach differential. That is significant. Ode Osborne also knows very, very well how to use his reach. His ability to step in and out and connect and then get out of range and land himself safely out of the pocket after doing major damage inside of the pocket, make him a very formidable foe against anybody. His last fight was a loss against Asu Almabayev, who you might recognize that name because we just saw him put the hurting on somebody else last Saturday. That guy's an absolute stud. But let me tell you, I think that Jafel Fialho is just going to have bitten off a little bit more than he can chew. And the nickname Pastor is just going to be turned to El Pastor because he's going to go in there and get cooked on Saturday. Ode Osborne is going to put it on him. It's just, I think it's not going to be a fun fight for Jafel. Jafel is a very fun fighter. Very, very prolific submission artist. He got 9 wins by way of submission. In fact, his very last fight was a win over Daniel Perez, where he got the round 1 submission with an arm triangle, which was, I mean, very, very beautiful to watch. You should probably go check that out if you haven't already seen it. But again, I think the Jamaican sensation gets it done. I think he's going to fight long. I think he's going to fight strong. He does have 3 losses by way of submission, which is a little bit worrisome, right? His last loss was a rear naked choke submission. That's worrisome. However, you got to think for a young kid like the Jamaican sensation, that little fire under his ass, and he's just going to get that much stronger and that much better. So I think the submission defense and the grappling defense, or grappling negation for that fact, should be full-handed on display this Saturday. And I think he puts it on Jafel Fialho. Nano, who you got?
Damn, I like it, brother. That's pretty convincing, man. Not that I was necessarily on the fence. I was going to lean with O'Day all day, but you really drilled it home for me, brother. Great breakdown there, man. To add my 2 cents, O'Day, since his Dana White Contender Series back in 2019, 5-4 record. But, brother, I mean, we got to talk about those losses were tough guys, right? And Asu Almabayev, who looked like an absolute world beater last weekend, or a few weekends ago, I forget now, they all blend together. Manel Kopp as well, another stud, dude that's rising to the top of the division. But I do think O'Day's going to be able to use that reach advantage, 5 inches to be exact here, or 5.5. And I do think he has the tools to be able to get the win. Jafel, the pastor, and I thought like more of like a church setting, but I love your pastor, more in a pork setting. I love that. I'm always hungry for some tacos. 14 of his 15 finishes, 14 of his 15 fights ended in finishes. I mean, this guy, all of those wins, this guy can finish, man. This guy gets the job done. 5 KOs, 9 submissions. But don't let those 5 KOs fool you. I think as of recent, he's been leaning more on the grappling game. But he has also squared off against some tough talent as well. Let me remind you, he did get submitted by a Muhammad Mokaev. And that's another guy that is rising to the top like yeast, like bread, all the way up there. So my big question is, how good is this kid Jafel? He is the betting favorite. You know, there's something about his ability to find your chin. That is why he has so many knockouts as well, to couple his good Brazilian jiu-jitsu. Patiently waits for you, and then if it does get to the ground, he's really comfortable there. So I think Ode has to stay really focused. I think, again, if he could use that reach, keep Jafel at bay and not shooting, making it muddy, getting him on the fence, holding him, taking him down. I do think Ode will be able to, if he keep on his feet for the 15 minutes, I think he'll win on the scorecards by the amount of strikes. The pace he'll be able to keep. And, you know, a finish is always in the deck of cards. You never know, but this guy Jafel is a tough dude. Maybe wouldn't bank on it, but definitely going to lean Ode all day. Let's go.
Yeah, I might have to sprinkle a little bit on Ode. Maybe throw him in a little parlay with Ode. Ode parlay. You know what I'm saying? Ode all day parlay.
Ode.
You had the whole crowd chanting that at IFW. It was awesome.
So sick.
It was so sick. Moving into the next one, we have Chelsea Chandler, not to be confused with Chelsea Handler. You might recognize her as the chick that said Ronda Rousey was coming back last year, and that turned out to be a lie. Coming in against Josiane Nunez. This is a very, very interesting fight. I mean, what are your thoughts on this fight? Do you have a dog in this fight? Are you excited about this fight?
It's a fun one. I'm excited in the sense that we might see a knockout. Unfortunately, it might be on my girl that was representing the 209. Shout out Chesley Chandler, representing Stockton. Shout out Stockton. Shout out Nate Diaz. Shout out Tracy, my hometown where it all began. But the hometown can't save you, right? You can't fight with your homies in the streets. The streets can't fight the fights for you. You got to fight them. And Josiane, aka Jossie, has 7 KOs out of her 10 victories. That is, I'm not a math guy, 70% clip. My goodness, for women fighters, I mean, let's just call it what it is. That's pretty damn good. That is not likely. That does not happen often. Okay, even men. I mean, anyone to be getting that kind of knockout rate as a professional is pretty impressive. She's an absolute diesel truck. At 5'2", she is going to be 6 inches shorter. I wonder how she's going to be able to deal with the reach disadvantage. Oh, wait, let me take that back. There's only 1 inch differential, so not really too much there, okay? Chelsea Chandler represented the 209, like I mentioned. She did have that loss against Norma Dumont, and I believe that was the one where she was running away almost as if she was getting chased by like a T-Rex in Jurassic Park. If you're trying to get the visual there, the looking over the shoulder. Oh, that's how it looked. Oh. Yeah, it was pretty bad. So with all that considered, as much as I want to root for the 209 roots there, I'm going to have to go with this tough young gun here in Josie Junez, 30 years old, 10-1 record. Ben favorite at -150. Probably could have even been a heavier favorite in my opinion, but I like that. Give me those odds. Lock it up.
Absolutely. I think Josiane Nunez is probably the lock here. Before I do a little breakdown, just want to shout out to the chat here. New to this world said, I'm not a betting man, but I love Ode showing as an underdog. Gets my attention. Ode is the dog of dogs in flyweight. His reach is long enough to hit and not get hit. If Ode works the angle, stays at range, and can sprawl, he should have a night, my friends. Ode by decision. Yeah, I completely agree with that breakdown.
Love that breakdown. Yep. And the thing is, too, like, not only is Ode a really good offensive fighter, but when you watch Jafel and some of his exchanges, he gets a little sloppy. Not the best defensive fighter, not technically sound at all times. If it gets into a wild fight, he may drop his hands. He may try to do something a little uncharacteristic or be a little too aggressive, leave himself exposed. He tends to get clipped. He's been hit. He's a tough guy. Still a lot of wins. But let's call a spade, not the best defensive fighter.
Defense definitely leaves a little bit to be desired. He also, in my experience, or from what I've seen of him, he's shot in on some pretty sloppy takedown attempts. That's the kind
where
of thing
a good striker is going to respond. He's going to see that a mile away. Yeah,
you're going to catch a knee or a swift uppercut for your troubles coming in on that, my friend. So, yeah, definitely excited for that one. I think Ode is the man to bet on here. Quick breakdown on this one. Don't have a ton of heat on it, if I'm being honest with you guys. We have a 30-year-old Josiane Nunez coming in against a 33-year-old Chelsea Chandler. It is a 5'7" height compared to 5'2" for Josiane Nunez. And the reach, as you said, is only a 1-inch difference, which is pretty damn wild. For that reason, I'm actually going to go with Josiane Nunez. I think her being shorter, but only having a 1-inch reach differential or disadvantage for that matter, it actually serves to her advantage because she's a better grappler. Now she has a low sense of gravity. Easy setup for body shots, easy setup for entries on the single or double legs. However she wants to slice it, she's going to take it. It's going to be there for the taking, right? And I mean, why the hell not? Like, she is definitely the favorite for a reason here. I think she gets it done. And I'm sorry, Stockton. They can't all be winners. It happens. Now,
if you look at the Diaz brothers record, they definitely exemplify not necessarily winning them all, but Lord knows it's entertainment. That's maybe the next best thing.
You definitely can't win them all. This next one's pretty interesting. Although it's not maybe like the most exciting fight in the entire world, it is a very interesting fight. Natan Levy coming in against Mike Davis. I mean, these guys are both the types to go out there and leave it all on the line. Mike Davis is a stud in his own right. Mr. Beast Boy. Very exciting fighter. Of his 10 wins, only 2 of them have been from decisions. 7 by way of knockout or TKO, 1 submission. His 2 losses have come by way of submission and decision. He's had a lot of canceled fights, which is something that stood out the most to me when I was looking over and doing my research here, right? So some of the biggest takeaways is he's fought, and mind you, these are his 2 losses in the UFC. Are you ready for this? Sadiq Yusuf, which was before the UFC. He lost to Super Sadiq in the fucking Contender Series. His only loss since making it to the UFC was to a young man you may have heard of named Gilbert Burns. Yeah, so that's his only loss in the UFC, right? Aside from that, he's got wins over Vyacheslav Borishev, a.k.a. Slava Claus, absolute beast. Mason Jones, absolute beast. And Thomas Gifford, pretty beast in his own right as well. He has canceled bouts with Giga Chikadze, Jai the Black Country Banger Herbert, Euros the Dr. Medic, and Giga Chikadze again. Oh, and Danny Henry. Oh, and Socrates Pierre. Dude's real name is Socrates. That's insane. But I digress. He has more canceled bouts than he does bouts that have come to fruition. Now, standing across from him is Natan Lito Levy, fighting out of Syndicate. A lot of Syndicate boys up on this beat. Stand up. Dude's an absolute beast. But my biggest concern with him is he hasn't fought in quite some time. Like, neither of these guys have. They haven't fought since 2022. And I'm curious, what are your thoughts on that? Do you think both guys coming in with ring rust kind of negates the ring rust effect? Or what do you think?
Yeah, that's a good call out, brother. I am a little bit concerned about that. And I would say if all bygones are bygones, meaning if all things are even, I may look at the younger fighter and say that's fine. Versus, but not too young, right? Because there is a part of that. If you're too young, you maybe don't have enough experience. But as you get older as well, I would almost make the case that, okay, if you're a little bit older, maybe I'm okay with seeing it a bit less active because of injuries, because of just time between fights and wars that you're getting into. I get it. Takes longer to recover, things like that. But because it's a basically nullified situation here, I'm just going to lean with the guy that, in my opinion, has the better, well-rounded game and just is the better striker. And Mike, a.k.a. Beast Boy, bad man, Mike Davis here, man, representing the concrete jungle where dreams are made of. There's nothing you can't do. Reppin' New York. Thank you, brother. Right out of steam there, but that was all I had. Concrete Jungle, man, represent. 70% of his wins are KOs. That is 10 out of 7, ladies and gents. That is a high clip, man. He's a bad man. And he's got a true boxing background as well, man. Like you said, he's had a tough run of the mill. I mean, you want to talk about a Sadiq Yusuf and a Gilbert Burns being the two assignments you get tasked there. I mean, geez, this is pre-calculus and rocket science of some sort, or physics. Lord knows, I don't know.
Before you even learn how to do math, like basic subtraction and addition, they're like, here's rocket science.
Yeah. Let me remind you, we're in first grade. Like, come on. So yeah, brother, I do think, and with that in mind, I think the joke I'm trying to get to here is he's now in the right caliber. He's now finding the right speed. He's in the right heat. If we're talking track terms, I do think a Nathan Levy, fine out of Israel. So he is a Jew. Not that that matters here, but not a lot of them in the UFC. So shout out. I'm just saying, man. He is a Jew. Talking facts. That's what it is. Like Bryce Mitchell. He's clearly a Catholic. I mean, he's a flat earther.
Yes.
No, that too.
There were so many different things you could have said to classify Bryce Mitchell. What up, Tico Tech LLC in the chat,
Tico.
and also new to this world. He said, "This is my fight of the night. I can't bet against Mike. If Mike stays active, he's a top 10 fighter. His style and skills match up well against a lot of the top ranked. Chatting with Mike earlier, he's on his last fight and plans to go all out to state his case for a payday. So this is his last contracted fight. Holy smokes. Final fight in his UFC contract.
Chatting with Mike earlier. Hold on. I mean, I wonder if that's metaphorical or if you really did chat with him, my brother. Let's get on the inside scoop here. But no, that's
new
awesome.
To this world. Where were you chatting with him? Were you on his
elaborate on this? I'm not gonna. I did catch that. Yeah, don't just breeze past that, brother. No, but that's a fair point, man, and that's exactly why. Again, we're leaning Beast Boy to use that boxing and striking pedigree to his advantage here. Nathan, 0 knockouts out of his 8 wins. He does have 3 submission wins, so that is probably his best path to victory. But all fights stand on their feet. Maybe there's a scenario Mike Davis could get taken down, but I just think he's too well rounded at this stage of his career. For a Nathan who came into the Dana White Contender Series back in 2020, he has earned a solid 3-1 record, but he has not faced someone like a Mike Davis who, from a boxing perspective and striker perspective with 4-ounce gloves, like he's nasty with those mitts, man, once he starts letting them fly.
And I just want to point out that this young man has had 17 wins and 2 losses if you combine his amateur and pro career, and only been submitted 1 time, and that 1 time was by Gilbert Burns.
Who's, winning grappling tournaments in itself, and it's outright. Like, he's a world-class grappler.
And it's not like they fed him to Gilbert Burns in 2015. They fed him to Gilbert Burns in 2019 when Gilbert Burns was already really good.
That's peak, brother. Yeah, that's peak Gilbert.
Prime
in his
Gilbert,
32, dude. Yeah, 32, 33 years old. Or might have even been younger, I think.
Yeah, I think he was probably 30. He was just coming into his physical prime. So, yeah, goodness. They fed him to the wolves with that one. I think at this point, they're almost doing the same to Nathan Levy. As you pointed out, just going to sprinkle on there again, he has 0 knockouts to his name, and I think that would be his best bet to actually getting a win over a Beast Boy, even though Beast Boy's never been knocked out. I just think, everybody has a chance of getting knocked out, right? And with his only submission loss coming by way of Gilbert Burns, I don't think that Levy's that lethal, even though his nickname might be lethal. I don't see it, right? And he's had 1 submission win in his last 6 or 7 bouts. So I don't think this is going to be the time for it to happen again. Just not the right opponent for it to happen against. I got Mike Beast Boy Davis in this one. I think he gets it done fairly convincingly, and that's probably why he's a minus 500 favorite currently on DraftKings Sportsbooks.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, there's a reason he's such a vast favorite, right? With that being said, we have actually already made it through, I think, the entire preliminary card. Jeez Louise, that happened very quickly, didn't it?
That was the main event. Yes, sir, it did. I think there's one less fight maybe after a heavy pay-per-view with early prelims and prelims last week. But yeah, man, we're already there. We're breezing through it, man. But have no fear. Still a lot of time left to go over these banger fights.
Yeah, have no fear.
It's time!
The main card is here. We have GM3 starting it off against Brian the Barbarian Barberena. My God, Barbarian Barberena. It's just hard to say that.
With Brian as a first name too. Yeah, the 3 B's. That's a tongue twisty.
Brian Barbarian Barberena. Coming in against GM3. Barberena. And then we have Penny Kinziad, who is just a beast, really hard to put away, coming in against Louisiana's own Macy Chasson, who again is a beast. It's hard to put away. It's very long. It's very strong. It's very down to get the friction on. Very, very prolific striker in the UFC in the women's bantamweight division. And we got C-Rod. Oh, I mean, dude, these fights are just nasty. And the top 3 are, I mean, 2 out of 3 of them are definitely going to be fight of the night worthy, I think. We're going to break it all down right now. We are definitely going to break it all down right now. So, Gerald Mearshart, GM3, coming in against the Barbarian himself, Brian Barberena. Barberena always looks so short in there to me, and it's crazy to me that he's 6 foot, so he would just dwarf me if I ever stood next to him. But man, he's 6 foot tall. Gerald Mearshart has 1 inch on him, but when it comes to the reach, my goodness, it is a 5-inch difference. 72.5-inch reach for Brian Barberena, 77.5-inch reach for Gerald GM3 Mearshart. I like Mearshart in this one, if only because Barberena fights like his nickname suggests. He fights like a barbarian a little bit. He leaves his chin out on the line. He does some sloppy, crazy things to make it an exciting fight. And it's okay if you make your fights exciting if you win them. He doesn't always win them. And sometimes it is as a direct result of him not being cautious, throwing caution to the wind and just letting it all hang out there. I think GM3 is live for a sub in this one. I'm agreeing with Tico Tech in the chat here. He says GM3 sub in round 3. I mean, that's oddly specific, but also not mad at it. Nano, what are your thoughts on the specific round prop here? And what are your thoughts on the fight in general?
I think it's hilarious. I love it. I've heard 3 multiple times. I've heard twice a couple times, which makes me want to go round 1. I think for whatever reason, I think it's a fun prop bet just to chase, because obviously we all know what's going to happen when GM3 is out there fighting. And yeah, brother, at 36 years old, Gerald Mearshart, aka GM3, the OG here in the UFC, dating back to his UFC debut in 2016. He's a specialist, my brother. 27 subs, 6 KOs with his 35-17 record. Dude is decorated, man, like a 2-time Army veteran out here, man. This guy's crazy. But since then, man, since 2016, 10-9 record. Yeah, it's tough, right? And you know what happens when you're good and you're in the UFC for a long time. You come across some dogs early in their day, maybe before they become household names. And I'm gonna name a couple for you right now. I'm talking about a Kevin Holland way back when. I'm talking about a Thiago Santos, who's now a light heavyweight. Dude was an absolute savage. Can't believe he was in this division. Jack Hermanson, another dude that's ranked high, and he also beat another young up and comer on this same list, Joe Pyfer. And oh, did I forget a Khamzat Chimaev that, you know, made a quick work of our boy GM3 here, unfortunately. And there's many others as well. This guy has seen it all, done it all, but we do know his best path to victory is going to be a submission, cranking your neck, getting you back, doing whatever it takes, ripping an arm off, gouging an eye, whatever it is. And I do think, honestly, again, I've seen 3 multiple times. I'm hearing 2 as well. 1 sounds fun as well, and maybe that's just my lack of respect for a guy like a Brian Barbarian Barberena. See, I got mixed up on it too. But no, I do respect him as a fighter. I say that jokingly. I respect all these sons of guns and gals. But at 34 years old, 18-11 record, you know, he does have 11 KOs under his belt, so he does have that one punch capability. On a 3-fight losing streak, you know, he's a hungry dog. And a hungry dog is a scary dog. So we got to keep that in mind here, y'all. But he's been in the UFC since 2014. I was actually surprised to see he's been longer in the UFC since GM3. So 10 years here we're talking about. 9 wins in that time. 1 over a woulda, coulda, shoulda in Sage Northcutt. Sad. Matt Brown, legend. And even a freaking Robbie Ruthless Brawler Lawler. My goodness. But he also has 9 losses as well. I mean, a Colby Covington, a Leon Edwards, an RDA, that's Rafael Dos Anjos, Gunnar Nelson, Randy Rude Boy Brown, and Vicente Luque. I mean, both of these guys have fought just about everyone in the division. Yo, I just named half of the UFC rankings in today's middleweight and welterweight. I mean, my goodness. So both of these guys are tough, man. But I'm gonna lean the GM3. I'm gonna lean the jiu-jitsu, the submission shark. I think one of the funniest things I heard today online was I know you're not the biggest fan of a MMA guru, but he called Brian Barberena. What did he call him? Melted ice cream. And I thought that was the funniest comparison ever. Again, I respect all these fighters. I would never say that I'm paraphrasing, but gosh, was it funny to hear. Anyways.
You're the worst.
You can't unsee it.
Oh my god, dude. Melted ice cream. That's funny as fuck. Yeah, I'm obviously going GM3 here. This is gonna be the fan bet of the week. We're doing a should we do a half unit on this or a full unit on this? It's plus 1,000 for GM3 to finish in the 3rd round in general.
Plus, what is it?
Plus 1,000.
What is in each round? Like as it goes 1, 2, 3, does it go like up?
It goes up, yeah. So round 1 is 225, round 2 is plus 400, and round 3 is plus 1,000.
Damn.
And then
it would be fun to chase one of those.
To get a finish, it's wild. Like it's just wild.
We're talking units.
We're talking units, dude. Like round 1 is plus 900, round 2 is plus 1,200, and round 3 is plus 1,800.
Oh my gosh, it's throwing it away. I mean, that's for a reason, obviously, ladies and gentlemen. Don't get too excited over these numbers, y'all. Don't go chasing waterfalls, okay? But yeah, man. I mean,
we're doing it. We're putting a unit on GM3 to finish in the 3rd round. That's happening. Yeah, we're confident. We're confident in our guy GM3, and we never do specific round props like this. But I should have on Dustin Poirier. I literally showed Drew while he was here after the fight. I on the UFC 5, the EA UFC 5 game, they let you do picks before each event, and you get like in-game currency. I literally bet Dustin Poirier by knockout in round 2 in the game. I did that a week before the fucking fights.
That's so sick.
I literally logged in. I was like, check this out. I did call it. I just didn't.
That's sick.
I should have posted it.
That's sick.
I think I screenshotted it. I'll have to post it later.
You've hit on a few of those, honestly. I know you've tweeted a couple out like that.
Oh man, it's partially luck and partially just making the reads. Like
no, that's true.
Some of these guys are definitely live for you to just read them like a fucking book. Yeah. And Brian Barberena, like he's so up and down. He's really hard. He's one of the harder guys to read because he's up and down, right? Like it's one thing if a guy's like this and it just plummets down. Or if a guy's on a skyrocketing trail up, but has never faced somebody like a Dustin Poirier, that's when you can see like, oh, well, he burns every fucking thing. He burns all of the fuel in the fucking reserves in the first round or two. And Dustin asked for it to be a 3-round or a 5-round fight. It's going to be a finish for Dustin.
Yeah,
that was money in the bank.
Oh yeah, and that's the thing here with a Brian going up weight class as well. He's a welterweight, probably not. More naturally, maybe, or should probably fight in a welterweight, but he's going up to a middleweight here, fighting a true middleweight. Like that's not. I mean, maybe that'll do him some favors in terms of the weight cut or things like that. But it's like,
but I mean, he looks like he had some pounds to lose. If I'm being honest with you,
that's what I'm saying. He's not some beefy guy. He's a bit of some melted ice cream, isn't it?
A bit of melted ice cream, in it.
Yeah,
man. Oh man, MMA guru, what a guy! That guy called me out one time.
I can't believe that
about Islam. He put me on his channel. I actually gained like 150 followers because of it.
I mean, he's plugged in.
Thanks, guru. Yeah.
He's plugged in, man. I love what he's doing.
He's funny as hell. I will tell you that. He's just Gosh, he's disrespectful. I can't get behind the disrespect.
No, chat. I honestly am remorseful even bringing it up now. But again, I was paraphrasing y'all. Good humor is good humor. I mean, I can joke about myself. Okay, you know, if you want to make fun of my forehead, by all means.
If you want to send Nano a gift for Christmas, send him some melted ice cream. He's obviously a big fan.
A big fan. Vanilla bean.
And Tico Tech LLC actually told me I think he said he subscribes to like 3 or 4 specific channels for MMA content. We made the cut, and MMA Guru made the cut. So
solid company, and those are essentials.
It is what it is.
Those are essentials.
As long as we made the cut, it's okay if we share company with him. That's fine. We'll do it. He's got a nice beard.
Mm-hmm.
He's also huge. Like he's like not fat. Have you seen the pictures of him next to a UFC fighter?
Yeah, I think even on the Reddits. Yeah, he had a picture of the Enriquez Duplessis, and he looked ginormous. He's a big boy.
He looks huge.
No, he's a big boy. He's like a Shane Gillis, kind of big, kind of marshmallowy. No, that's the thing. He's a big boy, but he's more of like a Shane Gillis, more of like a offensive lineman. I'm not too worried about that. Had he have looked like a Ngannou or Anthony Joshua, I'd be talking a little different. But
They were worried.
He too looks like some melted ice cream.
Oh no, he did him dirty with his own joke.
No, he's a big boy, but I mean, I'm just saying, he's not winning any, swimsuit model contests. That's all.
Tico Tech LLC said he's my shameful MMA enjoyment.
No, yeah. I'm not boasting about it, but it's in the rotation.
I will tell you that when people post little clips of him on the Twitter, I will pay attention. So here's to shameful enjoyment.
Cheers.
Pleasures.
And to making money like Moicano.
Him and Moicano's little internet beef was so funny.
Yeah, that was a good interview too. Moicano's funny, man. He's a funny dude. That's why the next
he's very entertaining.
Like recommended channel, Mighty DJ Mouse, but Moicano's funny, man.
I would
you gotta get past the accent a little bit, but it's good. He's trying.
I do like Moicano a lot, but I would actually recommend Rude Boy's channel over that one.
Oh no, for sure. We got the Rude Boy for sure.
The tiny desk breakdowns are literally like some of the best.
Oh yeah, the quality, the production, everything. Rude Boy's got to be.
And also Sadiq. Have you seen Sadiq's?
I have not. No. I gotta check Sadiq's.
Super accurate fight breakdowns. We'll watch one together after the episode today.
Oh, nice.
They're so good. They're so good.
Nice.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna have to show you. So moving into the next fight, we have Pannie Kianzad coming in against Macy Chiasson. This one is a little bit of a low-key banger, as the kids like to say. I'll go ahead and take the lead on this one. So Pannie Kianzad is 32 years of age. Macy Chiasson is also 32 years of age. There's a 3-inch height difference. Macy Chiasson has the slight height advantage, but when it comes to the reach advantage, it is a little bit more significant, folks. We're talking about 6 inches here. So 72 inches versus 66 inches in the reach department. It's going to be a tough night out for Pannie. I'm a big fan of Pannie. I think that she's very strong, and she's also a very fun fighter to watch, right? Like the whole, I don't know if you remember, but she's a beautiful fighter, like absolutely beautiful. But she's the one that like pops out her front teeth. She has the like fake teeth retainer, and there's that visual picture of her with all the blood coming down her face and like no teeth in, and it just looks nasty, bro. She looks like an absolute brawler. Yeah, Pannie Banzai Kianzad is just a beast, right? 16-7. She has more decisions than anything, right? 81% of her wins actually, and 56% of her losses come by way of decision. Her most recent outing was a loss to Ketlin Vieira. Before that, it was a win over Lena Landsberg, and before that, it was a loss to Raquel Pennington. She's typically 1-1-1-1-1-1 here lately, so if she follows the trend, she's due for a win, right? But standing across from her is going to be no easy outing. She has Macy Chiasson, who is fighting out of Louisiana, which we love here. Well, technically, she's fighting out of Texas these days, but she was born in New Orleans, Louisiana. Shout out, you heard me? Anyways. She has a decent amount of decisions as well. 50% of her wins come by way of decision, so 4 of them by decision. And then she's 25% in the KO and submission department, 2-2. Same way with her losses. She's got even kill losses across, right? One loss by way of knockout, one loss by way of sub, and one loss by way of decision. She's well-rounded in win and losses. Now let's look at who her losses have come to, right? Now, I just said that Penny Kinzad's most recent losses were to Ketlin Vieira and Raquel Pennington. Macy Chiason's most recent losses are to Irene Aldana and Raquel Pennington. We're seeing a bit of a trend here. Raquel Pennington has already wiped the entire weight class clean, pretty much, and now she's the belt holder. So good for her. We also saw Macy Chiasson get a win over Norma Dumont, who we spoke about earlier, getting a win over one of the fighters we were talking about. Norma is no joke, and Macy went out there and was able to get it done, and that was just 2 years ago. So I am a little bit worried in this fight. However, Penny Kinzad has been a lot more active. She has been fighting since Tough, and she, since her Tough season, has fought 10 times. This will be her 10th fight, and her Tough season was just finished back in 2018. So, I mean, she's staying extremely active. We love to see that. That's why I'm staying the fuck away from this one as a betting man. I'm going to be completely honest with you guys. Any other fight time, I would go Macy Chiasson. Let's go all day. I like both of these women a lot. And if you look at this based on the actual just kind of Vegas odds here, I mean, again, these people know what the fuck they're doing, I think, right? And when it comes to this fight, there's a reason the favorite is who the favorite is. So I'm curious to hear kind of who you think is going to win this one. And do you think that Vegas got it right here? And if so, how do you see Chiasson getting it done? Because, you know, I typically am with Vegas for the most part, but I don't know, man. I don't know. I kind of like Penny in this one just because the activity.
Yeah, man. I mean, the activity certainly speaks for itself. I mean, even the fact that she's ranked at 6 right now as well. I mean, she's definitely made a name for herself, and they're maybe looking at this a couple ways, right? But like you mentioned, I mean, coming back from their fight on the Ultimate Fighter finale back in 2018, this is a fight that Penny lost to a Macy Chiasson. So maybe it's kind of a revenge tour a little bit here. Maybe for the UFC, you're thinking, hey, that's a good narrative. It's not the headline event, so maybe that's why you don't see like a 2 next to it. Would have been easier for me in terms of research purposes. But yeah, I mean, I, to your point, like why I would maybe be leaning Macy here as well. Again, one, kind of partially because she already beat her once before on the big stage. Yeah, they're both earlier in their career, but again, I mean, similar ages, similar paths up until then. Penny has been a little bit more active, but she's only lost more, unfortunately, since then. Like, you know, 5-2 for Macy, 5-4 for Penny. So it's like, has that been better or not? I mean, we'll definitely find out, right? Like, how much more competitive is it going to be this time around? And I mean, she's used to that 6-inch reach disadvantage, that being Penny. Macy was able to use it well. Is she going to have a better game plan for that this time around? Is she going to be able to deploy maybe some of the grappling, or is she just going to kind of bite down on that mouthpiece? Like you mentioned, maybe a little bit easier there without the teeth, and just say, screw it, let's go ahead and get after it and see who drops first. All things are to be seen. And I think that's part of why we love the game here. It's because you never freaking know. From a bettor's perspective, maybe the odds are a bit more. I'm surprised they're as spread as they are. I mean, plus 190, closer to that plus 200 for a Penny, who's again ranked 6th as a bantamweight, has a loss over Macy, but is looking to avenge it for sure. And you could argue they both have gotten better, but Penny being more active, you could argue has to be in a better spot than she was, or has made more progress thus far. So I was leaning Macy, but honestly, I mean, I like the underdog story. I like the idea of the fighter who's been more active, who has the better ranking, goes out and gets that, avenges that loss. Maybe it's just the Avenger in me or the Marvel character in me wanting to see the underdog get the victory here. So, and she's a Ben underdog, so why not?
We love a good underdog here on this show. You know that, folks. And I mean, if I'm being honest, like all throughout the week and since they announced this fight, I was leaning Macy Chiasson, but the more I did research on it, the more I looked at tape, I just think Panty might be a bad matchup for her. Like, Macy does really well when she's able to pepper up her opponents and make them fade. Panty doesn't fade. Like, she just keeps coming forward. And I want to see what that's going to do to Macy's gas tank, because we've seen Macy fade with her gas tank before. And since their fight and tough, one is 6-3 and the other is 5-3. The one that's 6-3 is Panty Kinsat. So she's done more, she's won more. And I mean, it's not a ton more fights, but again, it's more activity. And she has grown more, in my opinion. Like, Macy still looks like the same Macy she looked like back then. And I was taking her for a favorite to win the season that season. So as much as I like Macy Chiasson in this one, I think Panty gets it done. That's who my money will be on this weekend, if I decide to sprinkle anything on this one. But as I said before, probably just going to stay the fuck away from the betting on this one and enjoy it as a fan.
It's a good call. Never a bad idea.
You know. Moving into the next one. This one I feel like you'll probably be excited about. I don't know why I feel like this is going to be your fight of the night. We got C-Rod. We got Christian Rodriguez coming in against Isaac Dulgarian. Tell me I'm wrong. Are you super stoked about this fight?
You're wrong. I hate it. This is the worst fight on there. No, I was kidding. No, I am excited for it, brother. Definitely in the top 2 or 3 for me. Obviously, the main event. I got a Bam Bam Tuivasa shirt. I'd be remiss to say I'm most excited for this one, but it is a low key banger. It's a sleeper fight. C-Rod, man, it's someone we've grown to know. Going off against another strong wrestler in Isaac Dulgarian. It might as well be Bulgarian or Dagestanigarian of some sort, because this guy, he's tough. He's a tough son of a gun, man. And the UFC just keeps feeding Christian Rodriguez these young, undefeated, young up-and-comers. And this is another test for big Christian Rodriguez here. And I say big because that is the one thing that is the notch in his chink in his armor, right? I mean, this guy, C-Rod, has missed weight a few times now. But that's exactly why we're seeing him move up a weight class. So he is now, hopefully, maybe he's in the right weight class at featherweight where maybe he belongs. Because again, missing weight once, twice, 3 times. I mean, come on, 3 strikes, you're out of here, kid. Let's stop messing around. Let's go ahead and get you in the right division. Worry less about the weight cut and more about your skills. So C-Rod is going to be the betting underdog here. I was a little surprised to see that. He is coming in on a 3-fight win streak. 5-2 since entering the UFC, with 2 wins over the golden child, Raul Rosas Jr., the 18-year-old kid that made his debut and is a stud. But again, how's he going to look in this new weight class? Is he going to be better? And how is he going to look against an Isaac Dulgarian at 27 years old, 6-0 with a 100% finish rate, 4 KOs, 2 subs? Man gets it done. He's a legit featherweight. Is that going to be a noticeable difference here? Time will tell, brother. But I do like what I've seen from Christian Rodriguez so far, even again with the asterisks aside. So I mean, man, I think if I'm going to take an underdog, first off, I think I'm going to take your advice on that last one and just enjoy it as a fan. But if I were going to take an underdog, like I did like in that last fight here, I am going to stick with my same theme and think that C-Rod's going to find a way to be able to dig deep, maybe look like a better, stronger, more filled out fighter here in the right division. And maybe hand this Isaac Dulgarian his first loss. Still young in his career. Still sky's the limit for both these young kids midway through their 20s. But I'm going to lean C-Rod here, the betting underdog. Again, something about it, man. I'm buying into this narrative here. I don't know if it's the whiskey or just, living in the moment. Again, I don't know if my bets will align with what I'm talking about right now, but talk me out of it, brother. What are you thinking?
You might want to pour up another shot of whiskey if you want to know what I'm thinking. So I'm not betting on either one of these guys, but I do have a 5-unit bet on this fight. That's right. I have a 5-unit bet on this fight, and I'm going to walk you through it. So, C-Rod, Christian C-Rod Rodriguez is, as Nano so eloquently put it, the man who dethroned the 18-year-old hype train who bought his mom a car, or a minivan for that matter, Raul Rosas Jr. He sent him packing. And then right after that, what did he do? He sent the man from South Africa packing as well. He went and put it on him. He put it on Cameron Simon, man, from South Africa. It was nasty. Most strikes C-Rod's ever landed in a singular fight in his professional mixed martial arts career. The man seems to be getting better and better. But I digress. He will be standing across from one Isaac Dulgarian, a.k.a. the Midwest Chopper. And you know why they call him the Chopper? Because he chops down his fucking opponents, kids. He has had 6 fights. He has had 6 wins. He has had 6 finishes. He has had 6 professional fights not see a second round. Every single fight has been finished in the first round. In the very first round. The last one, it's almost like he looked up at the clock and was like, oh, I got 2 seconds left. Not on my watch. Blip! Done, son. Get the fuck out of here. Ground and pounded him into oblivion. Felt bad for Francis Marshall. We all saw it. It was on a UFC fight night. I mean, come on, guys. 5 units on the under 2.5 here is almost a no-brainer for me. You got C-Rod, who literally has finished, let's see, gosh, I don't know, 40, 50, 60, 70% of his fights going against another man who has finished 100% of his fights. I think this is a solid bet. I got 5 units on the under, folks. Under 2.5. Doesn't matter who wins. We do.
Under.
Someone's getting finished.
I like it.
And it's not my bank account. Okay.
Facts. Let's go. That's a good analysis, brother, and a good breakdown.
I'm telling you, like, both of these guys are finishers. Midwest Choppa is just a guy who goes out there and literally doesn't stop until it's done. Whether it's on FAC looking for a fight or UFC, the guy gets it done. QUIC, CCC. You know what I'm saying? Like they say, with like 3 C's. The guy just gets it done, right? And then C-Rod is a banger. He's a stud. As the kids would say, he's a low-key banger. And I mean, he gets it done over just about anybody that is finishable, right? So we haven't seen Cameron Simon get finished. We haven't seen Raul Rosas Jr. get finished. But the other folks this guy goes out there with, I mean, he got a fucking verbal tap before his UFC entry. Don't know if you know that. C-Rod made a young man verbal tap. So tap, 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 tap. Brother, someone's getting finished on Saturday night in this fight. So that's
a good call. It's a good call. I like it, brother.
That is the play. Moving into the Coco main event, we got Kennedy Nzechukwu. That's it. Yeah. Kennedy Nzechukwu. The W, I think, is silent, if I'm not mistaken. So Kennedy Nzechukwu coming in against OSP, a.k.a. Ovin St. Preux. This is one, I'll be honest with you, I'm not super excited to talk about. I don't love this fight on paper. I don't love this fight in the octagon. There's nothing I love about this fight. OSP is on a downhill trend here. He has been for a little bit of time now, and he's 40 years old. He's 40 years old. He's 26-17, coming off of 2 back-to-back losses. Hasn't been able to string together back-to-back wins since before 2017. So, I mean, it's just been a long time coming. If he gets the win, I pray that he hangs up the gloves. I truly think that he dodged a bullet by not having to fight Iwan Cutelaba. We saw what happened when he fought the last guy that Iwan Cutelaba just now fought on Saturday, Felipe Lins. That guy got the knockout on him in just 49 seconds. I don't think this is going to be much different. I think Kennedy and Nzechukwu comes out there and swings like an absolute madman on a mission. He has knockout power in both hands. He can do it going backwards. He can do it going forwards. 67% of all of his wins come by way of knockout. I think this is going to buffer and bolster that percentage. I think he goes out there. I think he gets it done via knockout over the 40-year-old man. He's 9 years younger than him. And by the way, he also has a 3-inch reach advantage and a 2-inch height advantage. I can even see him go out there and getting a crazy head kick knockout. Either way, win, lose, or draw, I just hope OSP hangs him up.
Yeah, as much as we don't want to see all these warriors go out on their shield and ride off into the sunset on their white stallion, unfortunately, that's not always the case. Someone like an OSP who is a legend, who does deserve maybe his own choke named after him for how many times he was able to hit that Von Flue or the OSP choke. But Man, yeah, 40 years old. Just how much gas is in the tank, like you mentioned. On top of that, he's 1-3 in his last 4 fights. I just don't know what he's trying to prove or what else he can try to showcase to make me think other than the bigger, stronger, more explosive athlete in a Kennedy in Nzechukwu is not going to go out there and just put a whooping. Like, I don't have a reason to think otherwise. Kennedy's at a really strong, well-rounded game. He has a submission win under his belt to couple his 8 KO wins, like you mentioned there, brother. 7-4 record in the UFC with a loss early in his career against Paul Craig, who is a specialist as well. So maybe that is a glimmer of hope if you're an OSP fan, or if you're an OSP's camp. Maybe you're saying, hey, Paul Craig got on the ground, choked him out. You could do the same thing. Sure. And then the Dustin Jacoby, most recently via TKO. Kennedy kind of let his hands down a little bit. They were honestly both trading. One of them are going to go out. He was just on the wrong side of the bill on that one. But still, Kennedy has shown throughout his career an ability and willingness to make it a firefight, to make it messy. And when you're that big, strong, and explosive, he's just more likely to be the last one standing. Like Dwayne Rock Johnson. So I'm going to go ahead and... great movie. But, it's Standing Tall I'm thinking of. Because he's so damn tall, but...
Standing tall or walking tall? One of those.
Walking tall, yeah.
Walk tall and carry a big stick.
That's right. That's right.
Dad used to say that line all the time. My dad was a big fan of the original. That was a remake.
Oh, okay. Nice. The OG. Ooh, I got to watch that one now.
Yeah, there's an older one that was came out 20 or 30 years before.
Nice. Carry that big stick now. OG.
The fucking
Hell yeah.
giant oak that he carried in the back of the truck. Yeah.
Sick.
I rewatched that movie maybe 2 years ago. It's such a good throwback. Johnny Knoxville was the best friend.
Yes, dude. Like the comedic relief friend. Yeah, dude. He's funny.
That was a good ass movie.
Good era. Oh, yeah.
That was a good era of movies right there, I reckon. Moving into the co-main event of the evening, we have Brian Battle. That's not a nickname. That's his actual name. Brian Battle coming in against Angelusa. This is a crazy fight. This is a very, very crazy fight. I'm going to let you take the lead on this one, and then I'll hop in. Curious. Oh, let's see. I'll stand up and let you see the shirt while Nano does his breakdown here.
Hey, what do we got here? What are you rocking? Ooh. Oh, you got the whole squad. I love the pictures, too. Here we go now.
Class of 91, baby.
Come on. Hell yeah. So let me do my notes here. Yeah, brother, this is a fun one. Co-main event of the evening. Brian Battle, someone we have grown to love in the UFC, someone that makes a name every time he goes out there. Exclamation point every time he's literally in a battle, pun intended. 29 years old, 11-2 record, 3 KOs, 5 subs. Dude's left to get it done. Only blemish in his record was a loss of Renat Fakhretdinov, excuse me. But that dude, Renat's an absolute dog, okay? Let's be honest here. So how can this kid Brian Battle be?
Good job, champ.
Thank you, brother. Had to correct myself there before I wreck myself. But honestly, man, I do think Brian has all the tools. I do think he has all the tools of a new generation fighter. He's long, he's extremely violent, and he's good at any positioning. He's got a good, well-rounded game. He's smart when it comes to his defense as well. So he's not just out there trying to headhunt. He's really technical, deploys his game plan, stays focused. I was surprised when I saw that, he was really close odds, a -185 favorite. But the guy across from him, I'm like, who's this guy? Angelusa, getting a co-main event nod here. But at 30 years old, 10-3 record, 5 KOs, 1 sub, coming from the Congo, the last ninja. I think he has something to prove, man. 3-2 records since that's in the UFC. Has a win over AJ Fletcher, who they both have beat. Unfortunately, coming from the Congo, Angelusa. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Maybe you can correct me here, but his one blemish on his record was a loss to JDM, but that did go to a decision. So honestly, that wasn't even a bad thing in my book. I actually looked at that as a good thing and said he went the distance with JDM. Okay, Gilbert couldn't even do that. Okay, I'm listening now. That aged well. So I do think this is going to be probably one of the tougher challenges for Brian Battle, though it may not be a ranked opponent, though it may not be a household name. I think for all of us fighters, all of us people that love violence, I think we're going to see a lot of blood here, but I do think Brown's going to find a way to dig deep, showcase his ability to be well-rounded, to have good defensive takedown, good takedown defense. Let me rephrase, along with good striking and just being smart on the feet, man. But I think he's going to put it on him, man. I think we're going to expect a high pace. I think Brian will get it done. Maybe have a fun call out. And sky's the limit, man. Here's your thoughts on this one.
Well, I'll tell you this. You know, there's a lot of things that stand out about Angelusa in his fight career. The biggest one to me is the fact that he has a recent win for that matter, back in 2022 over John Doomsday Howard. Now, if that's a name that doesn't ring a bell for you, Nano, that's okay, because I'm going to take you down memory road. This young man, John Doomsday Howard, he was an absolute beast, still is apparently. He made his UFC debut on GSP versus Penn, number 2. Yeah. It's a little bit of time ago. Okay.
Sheesh.
BJ
Nostalgia.
Penn versus GSP 2. That's when he made his UFC debut. He fought Chris Wilson. Now, flash forward 5 fights, and then he fought Jake Ellenberger, Thiago Alves, Martin Kampmann, Matt Brown. Skip ahead a few more. We have a win over Uriah Hall. We have a canceled bout over Rick Story that he was supposed to fight. Lorenz Larkin that he fought. Conor McGregor's chump Cathal Pendred he beat up. I mean, the guy fought a who's who. Tim Means all the way back in 2015. And he's still fighting today. So he went on a brief stint in the PFL. And then it looks like Angelusa got a little piece of him himself at XMMA. So, I mean, good on him. He got a win over John Howard. He also got a win over AJ Fletcher, as you pointed out. And the most recent one over Reese McKee, which Reese McKee I was hoping was going to look better in his, secondary debut, right? We know how the first one went. He got that UFC debut against Khamzat Chimaev. Didn't go really well for him. And then after that, he got fed to Alex Morono. Again, didn't go really well for him. Went back to Cage Warriors. Fought his way back up in Cage Warriors. Fought 3 fights, 3 wins. Then got another shot in UFC against Angelusa, and it just did not go well. Got the Yunnan, did Angelusa. And, I mean, he looks like an absolute beast, but he's coming in against Pooh Bear. He's coming in against Brian Battle, a man whose literal name is Battle. This is another one of those fights where I honestly think that the under is probably going to be the safest of all bets here, folks. Honestly, yeah. Under 2.5 on this one is definitely the way to go. And again, I mean, fuck it. Why don't we, can we parlay this? Can we parlay these guys right here?
You talking Parleezis?
Parleezy. I don't know why. I think it sounds like a good one. A little unders Parleezy here. We got an under 2.5 rounds for Brian Battle versus Angelusa, sitting at plus 160. We got a plus odds on that? The fuck did they know? Something's wrong. There's no way. Both these guys are finishers. I'm taking it. Taking the plus odds. They're giving it to me. I'm taking it. Under 2.5 is plus 160 on the Angelusa versus Brian Battle. And under 2.5 on C-Rod versus Isaac Dolgarian is sitting at minus 120. You pair those together and you got yourself a juicy little plus 376. I'll throw a unit on that.
It's not bad. Lusa's never been finished. Maybe that's why. And Brian's been submitted once, but he's never been knocked out. So maybe they're looking at it as 2 tough guys. Getting good odds, though. I mean,
they basically, I think they're thinking it's going to be canceled, right? Because of it. Or it's going to be canceling each other out. Because
like
one guy needs to submit
the
other guy's never been submitted. One guy needs to knock out the other guy's never been knocked out. That's tough.
What was the other one you mentioned too, brother? Was it?
It was the original one that I put 5 units on. C-Rod versus Isaac Dolgarian under 2.5.
Yep.
Just hammering that 2.5 on that one again. Yeah, I like that one a lot, man. I think the under on that one is probably the safest bet. I mean, if you take Brian Battle outright, you get him at minus 180, which isn't terrible odds. But But again, I'd rather parlay it and get something positive going there. More bang for our buck. And I do think both of those are very probable of happening. So call me crazy, but I'm going with the under on that one. And now we are moving into the main event of the evening, folks. We got Tai Tuivasa, the shoey man himself, coming in against Marcin Tybura. Obviously, Bam Bam got the shirt on. We got to do a shot for Bam Bam. Oh, stand up. Show him the back. Show him the back.
Let's go.
Look at that.
Yes, there's a shoey.
And we've definitely done a shoey. If you want to see that, you can go back and look up the UFC Paris card. We also did a watch along for that one. It's the only watch along I think we've done. And we definitely drank too much during that.
Oh, yeah.
It was a great time, though.
That one was fun. It's pretty raw. It's like an early Joe Rogan podcast-esque kind of feel. And honestly, the shoe I did it out of was really dirty. It was an old gym shoe, and makes me want to puke thinking about it. So many regrets. So many regrets.
Well, cheers to Tai Tuivasa, the Shoeivasa here. We'll do a shoey on the next episode for you guys when he gets that dub.
Absolutely. Cheers to a heavyweight matchup. And my boy Bam Bam, man, inspired me to get my first shirt. These last two savage too, man. He's a fan favorite, isn't he? Just a dude you absolutely want to root for.
He really is. He is a fan favorite. He's somebody you always want to root for, and also he's a pick'em, not an underdog, not a favorite. He's just whelmed, right? He's just a pick'em this week. So sitting at minus 115 right now. I don't hate those odds. I definitely don't hate those odds. The under 1.5, not enticing at all to me. I see this going more than 1.5, but I'll tell you this. Just going to do a quick breakdown, and then I'll pass it to you. I'm going to take some steam off of my breakdown on this one because I know you're super stoked on Tai. So I'll let you kind of take the thunder on this one. Now, here's how I see this playing out and kind of the biggest things that I see happening in this fight. So Tai Tuivasa versus Marcin Tybura seems almost like a fight that is tailor-made for Tai Tuivasa to have a bit of a bounce-back performance here. He's on the right side of 30. His opponent is on the wrong side of 30. You know what I'm talking about here. Tai Tuivasa sitting at 30 years of age. His opponent at 38. In combat sports, 8 years is a huge gap. Now, you take that gap and then you pair it with the fact that they stand the same height. One guy, the younger guy, is about 20 pounds heavier than his opponent. And there's only a 3-inch reach disadvantage for Tai. He's fought at much, much more reach differentials and still pull off the win. So here's why I think this is a bit of a tailor-made matchup for him. Now, Marcin Tybura is somebody that we have seen have success in the heavyweight division of the UFC. However, he's also somebody that we have seen fade when the people that he hits early on do not back down early on. So because of that, I am heavily leaning towards Tai Tuivasa. I do think that if Marcin Tybura wants to, and if he's smart, he can come out there and overwhelm his opponent with leg kicks early on. If he's able to go out there and cut down the leg kicks, Ciryl Gane actually laid out the archetype game plan to beat this guy. And if you follow it, you can do it again. You can replicate it to success. So that being said, he would have to fight a perfect fight to beat Tai Tuivasa, in my opinion. He would need to chop down the trees early and then go out there and get takedowns, just tie him up and gas him the fuck out. But Tai Tuivasa in the little online clips that I've seen all week looks to be in better shape than he has been in years. That's a scary prospect coming in for Tybura, Mr. Marcin Tybura. I think Bam Bam gets it done. He's got a 93% win ratio with KOs. What I'm saying is 93% of all of his wins have come by way of fucking knockout city, kids. Got the knockout over Derek Lewis. Got the knockout over Augusto Sakai. Got the knockout over Greg Hardy. Greg Hardy was a big puncher. Even though none of us like him, we were all waiting to watch the guy get knocked the fuck out. I know, okay? I was one of those people. I couldn't wait for it. I'll still call it as I see it. And Greg Hardy presented a lot of problems, a lot of threats. If he touches you, he's got the bink factor. And what I mean by that is, bink, you're out cold, right? He's got death's touch. So it's kind of him or you. And we saw that it was almost going to be Bam Bam Tuivasa. I simply don't think that Marcin Tybura brings that, right? Even though he does have some knockouts, a vast majority of his wins come by way of decision, right? And if you look at what he's done more recently, I mean, for the most part, other than that Walt Harris knockout, which Walt Harris had a hell of a rough year, lost a child, and just probably shouldn't have been in the octagon with him. That's the last person he was able to get a knockout over. And then before that, it was over Greg Hardy, which I'm pretty sure that was right after Greg Hardy had already been knocked out by Bam Bam Tuivasa, or maybe Bam Bam got him right after. Either way, Greg Hardy is somebody that is just not the litmus test, right? He has a puncher's chance and nothing really else. He is dangerous to a puncher's chance extent. But what I'm saying is Marcin Tybura is not. He doesn't have one-shot knockout power. When he typically does get knockouts, other than the Walt Harris one, it's not a round 1 knockout. It's like a round 3 ground and pound knockout, or a round 2 ground and pound knockout, like the one over Greg Hardy or Luis Henrique. So for that reason, again, for all the reasons above, I think Tai Tuivasa makes this a nasty, dirty, sloppy, chewy of a fight. And I think he overwhelms his opponent early on up until the very end. And I think you're going to see both a host and a co-host doing a shoey in the very near future. Nano, tell us your thoughts, brother.
Let's go, brother. What a freaking great start, man. This is an exciting main event of the evening here. UFC Vegas Fight Night 88. 2 heavyweights going in there and just letting it all hang out, man. I am so excited. And man, if Vegas has something to say about it, they are just as torn well, not as torn as us. We are pretty much one-sided, locked and loaded, but they think it's just about a pick 'em as it can be. Minus 115 for Tai Tuivasa, giving him the nod, but it's minus 105 for our boy Marcin Tybura. Man, I think they're liking what Marcin has shown over his longevity of his career, but I do have some issues with that, with these odds, right? But starting my boy Ty, like you mentioned, brother, 13 of his 14 wins were by KO. Judges not required, and I think that's his best path to victory here, for being honest. Now, Ty was able to get a win over a tough Derek Hotballs Lewis a while back here, and since then he had a tough stretch, right? He's had 2. And I re-say that 2 3-fight losing streaks, okay? But the first time he was coming off those 3 L's, he won that next fight. In fact, he went on a 5-fight winning streak, beating the likes of a Greg Hardy and, who I just mentioned, a Derek Hotball Lewis. Now, again, unfortunately, since then, he did lose 3 in a row. Cyril Gane being one of them, like you mentioned, who simply outclassed him, but he did last very long. He's tough as nails. It takes just about throwing everything you have in the house, even the kitchen sink, at him for him to finally get out of there. And that is what it is. Unfortunately, some of the losses after that for our boy Bam Bam and Sergey Pavlovich, who we came to realize is another one of just the most nasty, lethal strikers in the heavyweight division. And then Alexander Volkov, that was really an upsetting one. That was one we were hoping to see him win, especially with Ty at this stage in his career, hoping to make that break back into the top contender conversation. But like you mentioned, man, at the end of the day, these heavyweights, I'm sure if we break it down, it's like everything across the board is probably some sort of 50-50. It's like literally you never know. It's the fact that these guys can be knocked out by one punch on either side, one, makes it extremely fun, right? If you think all the way back to the Randy Couture days, the Frank Mears of the world, the Brock Lesnar's versus Shane Carwin, some of these big, just meaty dudes, Alistair Overeems, all these guys that, just one punch and it's over. That's the excitement. That's what maybe partially makes these guys fan favorites. And then someone like a Tai Tuivasa who's bringing everything else in here with them in the octagon. Fun fact, I know you did a little recall earlier with OSP, find on a BJ Penn toward GSP 2 fight card. Well, our boy Tai Tuivasa made his debut back in 2017, and guess who were the headliners? It was a Marcin Tybura against a Fabricio Verdun.
Gee!
Banger of a fight. Marcin lost, so these come full circle. He's gonna lose again. Okay, headlining this one. But yeah, man. I mean, Marcin, he is gonna have the 3-inch reach advantage since that 2016 timeline in the UFC. He's established an 11-8 record. He's busy. He's fought the who's. But the things that concern me is that he is 38 years old. He is coming off a TKO loss to the one, the only, the interim champion, Tommy Aspinall. No. and an Alexander Volkov as well. So, these type of things scare me, along with his last 3 losses outside of losing to those 2 other individuals have all been by KOs. Yikes. Bam Bam's coming in at 30 years old. Yes, he's had some bumps in the road, but he's going to be the best version of himself. Like you mentioned, one, because he's probably taking it the most serious. I think he's talked about, his lifestyle, let's be honest, he's drinking pints. His body doesn't suggest he's the most disciplined human being in the world. He's no David Goggins, obviously, but he's made the adjustments mentality wise, physically, you can see it. And at 30 years young, I think he's now coming into his quote unquote prime as a human. It's all going to be coming together. And he's had already such wars and legitimate time in there in the octagon with, oppositions. Like you mentioned, a Cyril Gahn. And yes, he does have the blueprint, but does it help you when the blueprint's in Arabic and you speak Chinese? Like, I don't know, brother. I don't think Marcin has that same blueprint. He can't do what Cyril Gahn is doing out there, okay? So that's my one defense. On our boy Ty, again, we're biased. I'd be curious to hear if anyone else has a case against Marcin or why he is a minus 105 betting favorite here. Is it because of the leg strikes? Is it because of his ability to take Ty down and frustrate him and make it a bit of a boring match for layman, for lack of a better term? Yeah, I can see that. It could be a snoozer in that sense. One, because Bam Bam will be losing in that scenario, but also no one wants to see a boring fight. Come on. We want to see some violence. We want to see Bam Bam staying in the pocket, rushing forward, keeping Marcin on his back foot, and just picking his shots. And hey, Ty can take him. He can take him as well as anybody, right? Even if Marcin's trying to do this Muay Thai leg kick, Taekwondo pointing, that's fine. Go ahead. Take out a calf. I only need one. I'll hop across this stage, octagon, and take you out. Ty's that strong. He's that kind of kid. I'm excited for this performance upcoming Saturday here. I think it's going to be a big one, maybe his best yet. And that's going to put him in the right spot here, man, to get back into that title contention conversation, man. That's all we want. Just be relevant. Get your paper, boo-boo. Make some more merch. I get some more shirts, but huge shout out, man. Let's go. Shoeys will happen for sure. If he wins.
Yeah, I definitely think that it's going to be a good look for Tai Tuivasa here coming into the weekend, guys. I got a good feeling about it. And that's it for the fights, right? Again, biggest bets for me are probably going to be, I'm just going to throw one out here, guys. I'm throwing another 5-unit bet out here. Feeling real good about these wins last week. I think we're I'm 17 units up myself. So I'm playing with house money here, and we're either going to make a lot more or we're going to burn it to the fucking ground. Let's see. 5 units, okay, on a 2-pick parlay here, a little 2-legger. So we got Tai Tuivasa to win by KO, TKO, DQ, or submission, paired with Brian Battle to win by KO, TKO, DQ, or submission. That's plus 250 and plus 100 odds. Pair them together, you get plus 600. Okay, guys? So, let's see here. I think it ends up being 5 units to win 35 units. So,
oh, baby.
We'll take that. We'll take those odds all fucking day. And we'll go ahead and move into the next one here. The next one we're just going to do for funsies. I'm going to do 2 of these, okay? Doing the Vegas favorites parlay. So I'm going to put every single Vegas favorite on a parlay. Doing this twice for one reason, because the main event, it just happens to be a pick'em. And as much as I like Ty, the odds on this are really fucking good, right? We're talking about putting a fifth of a unit down to win 143 units. So, yeah. Actually, sorry, not 143 units. What the fuck am I talking about? We're talking about putting a fifth of a unit down to win 28 units. So we are doing every Vegas favorite plus Tai Tuivasa, 1/5 of a unit to win 28.6. Okay. And then the one after that is we are doing the same exact thing, except we're putting Marcin Tybura on there. And because Marcin Tybura has slightly better odds, what happens is we get slightly better odds, right? So 1/5 of a unit to win 30.6 units on that one. So again, that is the Vegas favorites parlay with Marcin Tybura, and then the Vegas favorites parlay with Tai Tuivasa. Next one I got here. Got a weird one. Okay. I'm gonna hedge a bet. I'm gonna do a little bit of a hedge-a-roni here on Corey McKenna and Jackie Amarim. So Jackie Amarim, I'm gonna put 1 unit on. Okay. And that 1 unit is gonna net, let's see, 2.4. So 1 unit to win 2.4. Very small cheese there, and that's fine. And then the hedge here is we're going to do 1.5 units on her opponent to win 2.34. So either way, we are up over half a unit. Or no, either way, we're up over a unit. So fun hedge here. Literally can't lose hedge because it's money line on both of them. This is how you play the money game. So either way, we are going to win money on this fight. It's just a matter of, are we going to win 2.34 units or are we going to win 2.44 units? Again, it's more in than out. So let's take the money, folks. Moving into the next one here. Don't have a lot more. We have, let's see. I think that might be it. Yeah, that's it, folks. That's it. We got the dogs parlay that we already put in earlier. Nano, did you have any that you wanted to sprinkle in here?
Sheesh, brother. You covered a lot of them. You covered a lot of the bingo card for sure. But, there's a few that I'm looking at. I might, excuse me, might do my own little jive turkey, 1 eggs in 1 basket, my fave picks, some of the favorites, maybe a couple underdogs in there. I'll sprinkle one of those going in. Bets will be coming out on the socials later. But definitely going to sprinkle a unit or 2 on Tai, like just straight up, most likely. Or like, you mentioned like a TKO or decision. Although I would be surprised. I got to do a little homework on this. It's like for it to go 25 minutes, I'd be kind of surprised. Or I don't know. It's like almost concerning if it's like, is it going to be that long? So might just take him straight up by money line, or like you might have taken like by TKO or sub, or just by TKO. I'll look at some of the odds, but definitely going to sprinkle some money on my boy. O'Day was another dog I was looking at, and if the odds weren't great, I was thinking about coupling O'Day with like a Josiane or Jossie, who I think is going to go out there and beat Chelsea. That felt like one of the safer picks of the night, one of the locks. But I like a lot of yours too, brother, to be honest. I mean, mine might have been close, similar. Maybe I would have parlayed a couple of those together. I think we're hitting some really good ones this week. But in terms of my end, obviously we are so positive and all as well, but I'm going to be a little more safe on this one. Obviously you're spreading the love and I love it. And I'm like, oh man, I might even chase a couple of those myself, but, I think I'm going my boy Tai for sure. And then, a couple other that seemed like feel like locks again, maybe like a Josiana, money line. And then O'Day is like an underdog that I think I feel really good about putting some money on. And then maybe I'll parlay like those 3 or 4 together, like, a couple of those. So
I think that's a solid parlay. And I mean, I know it feels like I'm probably going very spicy, very heavy, but it's like some of my favorite spicy dishes, like it's spice with a purpose. It's hot. Oh yeah, but it's a sweet heat, man. It's a heat with reason.
If you're in the kitchen, you might as well use those spices. I think one thing I grew up with, and I don't know if it's a Mexican thing or just at least Amy and I, but when she's cooking or we're cooking, when in doubt, I mean, I'm a season out. I'm gonna put a little extra in there. Can't go wrong. Come on.
All day, baby. All day. So you were asking about the odds on the under there. I don't know how stiff you were thinking on like 2.5, 3.5, 4.5. There's no way it goes the distance, obviously. But if you want to stop at like the 4.5 line, under 4.5, you can hit right now for minus 550. So not the juiciest odds, but if you drop down to under 2.5, which big boys, I don't know if it's going to go 3 rounds.
Yeah, to go championship rounds, it's like that's
rough already.
Yeah,
that's a tough call. So I mean, if you think they can finish this fight in under 2.5, you get the under 2.5 for 190, minus 190.
That's juicy, and that's probably juicy. Better. Yeah,
1 unit to win 1.52, not a bad deal.
Like that.
Yeah, I don't think that's a bad call.
Especially if I'm going to go with the narrative that Ty's going to be winning. I don't think it's going to be by decision. It's more than likely going to be in that first round, maybe second. Third means maybe there is some turbulence going on, or maybe you got an injury or something, but someone's getting out of there.
Yeah, no,
could even be Bam Bam by that point, but that's where it's like, again, I'm feeling good about the shorter the fight here with these heavyweights, who neither of them have ever gone 5, I don't think. Let me double check on Marcin.
I don't think either of them have gone 5. I could be wrong.
He did go 5 with Fabricio, but that was 7 years ago. I mean, come on.
That's Fabricio, dude. Fabricio either finishes you earlier or he doesn't finish you at all, my guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Unless you're fucking Fedor Emelianenko and he wasn't supposed to finish you.
Yeah. It's just, yeah. Lord knows.
That's another story for another day, kids. Yeah, that's it for this fight card, folks. As you heard me say earlier, the co-host with the most here, Jive Turkey Nano, will be out of town next week, so he will be absent. You can bet your bottom dollar that we will still be here for a podcast, though. Whether it's just me, might be me and a different co-host next week. Maybe I'll try and get Mad Max Meridian on here again for something. Either way, bet your ass that I'll be here, and I'll be breaking down these fights and our reactions to them. So either way, again, thank you for being here. We appreciate you dropping in for the last almost 2 hours with us, spending your Thursday evening with us. And whether you're new, returning, anywhere in between, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and smash that bell for notifications. And as we like to say here on the show, make sure you keep on going, keep on growing. We'll see you next week.
You've been listening to the MMAnomaly Show. No filter. As you may have been able to tell, we dig the MMA, and our passion is to dive deep into the upcoming fights, give you our expert breakdowns, and help you make sense of all the chaos that is the fight game. We hope you've enjoyed the show. If you did, make sure to like, rate, and review. We'll be back soon, but in the meantime, make sure to find us on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, and Twitch at MMAnomaly. Be cool, and we'll see you next time.